So hello everyone, Mark Woodland here, the Managing Director of Winbox, and it's welcome to episode 41 of On the Winbox. We have a guest with us here today. You might recognise him. It's Tom Sandford from Future Content.
Hello.
So Tom's here today because we've been releasing a couple of blog articles recently, and we've mentioned it at different events about the topic of GDPR. So you may have heard of it. It's a new regulation coming into play next year, and it stands for the General Data Protection Regulation. It's going to be quite big for the marketing industry. It's going to affect a lot of companies, big, small, and everything in between. So it's something that we feel our audience needs to know about, and it'd be good for you to be prepared for and start preparing for as it comes into play next year. Tom's been doing a lot of research on the subject, so he's in a good position to be able to tell you a little bit about it. So Tom, do you want to kick off with just talking about what GDPR is and why people need to be aware of it?
Yeah, well, you've teed it up quite nicely. But what it is it's actually a really quite nasty, strict piece of regulation, and regulation means law. So GDPR is coming, even though it's a European regulation. It is going to be law in Britain come 25th of May 2018. And Brexit or no Brexit, it's coming, it's staying, especially if you deal with customers in the EU. So it's going to affect not just UK businesses, not just European businesses, but also American businesses and further afield. And what it is it's the law catching up with reality. It's quite a positive thing, and that's what's been coming through from the lawyers and the IT directors and the marketing directors I've been interviewing, is that actually this is really the law catching up with reality, and it's representing our daily lives. So that is how we would want our data to be protected and to be looked after. That's what the law is coming in to enforce. It's stopping the spammy tactics that we've all been plagued with for so long and filling up our inboxes, and it's protecting our data.
Okay, so one of the questions that I've been often asked is we already have data protection regulation.
Yeah.
So how is this different, and why is it different?
It's different because the Data Protection Act of '99 or 2000 or whatever it was guidance rather than law. Okay. And the regulators didn't really have any teeth. They had nothing to bite you with. GDPR, they've got some serious teeth to bite down on you. I mean, the fines could be 4% of global turnover or 20 million euros, whatever is higher.
Wow.
And it's not just capped there as well. So you could get fined 20 million euros, but then you're open to get sued by everybody whose data was affected. So you could pay out 20 million euros, and then if you've had a great data breach of 10,000 contacts, each one of them could then go on to sue you. So it's pretty serious. And what happens is generally when you talk about those numbers, smaller businesses go, oh well, that's not going to affect us. There's no way that we're going to do that. There is no limit on the size of businesses that this could affect.
So a one-man band could really, if they're in breach of the new regulation,
a one-man band,
they could get fined 20 million euros, and that's it for them then.
That's
the end of.
I mean, I don't think that anybody's going to come and slap a 20 million euro fine on a company turning over 100k, but there is no limit on the size of business that this affects. And it's not just businesses, it's communities, it's charities, the local football club. They've all got to make sure that they have a process in place to protect individuals' data, and also a means of collecting that data and maintaining that data that is in line with the regulations.
Okay, so what should people watching this thinking, okay, this is coming, it's going to affect me, I need to do something? What should they be doing now? What should they be thinking about, and what should they be planning for the deadline, which is the 25th of May 2018?
Yeah, well, I think that the advice that's been coming through everybody that I've been interviewing has been just look into it, get your head around it, because there is a very low level of awareness across business owners in the UK, and get your head around it, start to read up on it, read some of Mark's blogs on the Winbox. We've got some really in-depth articles coming out for our clients, which we can share links to over the next few weeks. Get your head around it and start to think about the different types of data that you've got. So it's not just the email addresses you have for your email marketing. It's also how you're collecting IP addresses, cookies, how you're dealing with the notepads, your written notes, as that's data. If you've got CCTV, if you've got voicemails, just start to map out where all of your data is. Start to read up about it. There'll be plenty more advice coming through. At some point, we'll need to have a data champion within the business.
Is that for all size companies? They need a data champion?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're a one-man band, then you are that champion.
Yeah.
But if you're a 10, 20 person business, you will want a business owner, a director, to be saying, yeah, I'm in charge of data.
Okay.
And then thinking about the processes that you're going to take to work out who's responsible if you get a data breach.
Yeah.
And who's responsible to make sure that you're collecting and managing your data in the correct manner.
Okay, so as you're saying, it's the best practice that people should be doing anyway.
Yeah.
It's just coming into force
Yeah.
now in the shape of a regulation. So
Yeah.
it's going to be law to make sure that there's no
Yeah.
more misuse of data and less data breaches, and everyone's a lot safer with their personal information.
Yeah, that's it. And again, everybody I've been interviewing has been saying that this is a positive thing. This is the laws catching up with reality. Yes, it's gonna be an overhead for businesses. There's going to be the cost of having good quality data protection processes and systems in place and managing that data. But also, it's going to be a selling point. At the moment, we are all naturally mistrustful of companies who and the way that they look after our data. GDPR is going to become a competitive asset for those businesses that can get up to speed.
Okay, great. So there's an overview for you on GDPR. If you have any questions, just fire them over to us. You can tweet us, the usual, on all the social channels. You can get in touch with us. It's at winbox Ltd. Email Tom
Sandford at futurecontent.co.
and we'll be happy to help, and we'll be focusing on this topic. So there'll be more information coming out in the coming weeks and months. So yeah, just have a read up on it and make sure you know what's coming.
You should mention we're planning an event in May where we're going to be exploring these topics in more detail. Haven't settled the date, haven't settled the location, but there'll be more to come.
Yeah, there will be an event, and we'll have partners at the event. So yeah, well remembered. So we'll release the details of that as soon as it's out. So thanks for watching.